Well, hello, good day, and welcome back to the Certified Jordan channel. Today we are going to replace the rear tire onto the Yamaha Tenere 700. I also had a new tube fitted to the front tire, and then also we are going to replace the brake pads on the rear. As you can see, these are shot. They're done, so we bought the set of proper new pads. And the tools we are going to be needing is a bit of degreaser, some proper liquid moly brake parts cleaner, torque wrench, some sockets, big Allen key for the front axle, a punch, and some copper compound. This is the copper compound that I always use. This is going to lubricate the axles as well as the brake pin and the sliding pins, as well as I'm going to add some on the back of the brake pads. I'll show you, just to eliminate some rattling and vibrations. Before I continue, would like to give a shout out to my friends over at Quench 3D Hydration for sponsoring this video once again. You guys are awesome. Got a fantastic hydration product available at takealot.com. Thanks so much, guys. You guys are awesome. So let's get working on this thing. I think the first thing we will do, I'm going to move the camera over this side and lower it a bit so you can see what we're going to do on the front axle to put this front wheel back, and then we'll move over to the rear. Guys, I just want to show you this. You'll see this caliper here is hanging on one of these elastic bungee cords. Never let your caliper hang on its brake lines like that. Oh sure, most probably for a day it won't cause any issues with the brake lines, but these things, they get brittle and hard over time because of the brake fluid inside of them, and you don't want these things to rupture or prematurely wear on you or anything like that. So get yourself, I've got many different lengths, thicknesses, flavors of these bungee cords. They're really cheap. It's usually available at the bicycle department at your normal stores, big stores such as Game or even a Checkers Hyper or so will have them, Hyper Armor, whatever the case may be, and do it that way. Let your caliper hang on one of these. You'll see what I've done on the back. I've put the caliper through the axle so it's not hanging on the lines. I'll also keep everything together the way it should be so that I know which side what spacer is going and so forth. So let's head over to this front section here. There you can see, just look at my new floor right over there. You can see motorcycle stand eating the paint off already, eh? Okay, so this is the one spacer for this side, that's the spacer for that side, and the axle. And then on this motorcycle, on the Tenere 700, you have to take one of the calipers off to get the wheel out. So let's go ahead. We're going to quickly clean that axle. We're going to clean those two spacers, and then I'm going to smear some grease on the axle, and then we are going to fit the wheel back on. Right, let's get to work on that. I'm going to need my brake parts cleaner, my cloth, copper compound, this big Allen key, my torque wrench, a 10 socket, and my impact driver. So here's all the tools that I need. Before I get the wheel, I'm first going to do the cleaning. I'm just spraying a bit of this brake parts cleaner onto these spaces. I want to just clean them out nicely, as well as the axle and inside these tubes. You can see there's grease in here. I want to clean that all off. Okay, that axle is nice and clean. My floor is clean because I washed it. Just cleaning out these bushes. They can become quite gnarly. This one is actually not too bad. Guys, I've just made a whole video on how to install the front wheel, talking to myself like an idiot without my camera recording. Nevertheless, we've installed this. You can see there's a bit of copper slip around the axle here. I've smeared some copper slip on the axle. Cleaned everything out nicely. I even cleaned the calipers with some brake cleaner. Then I showed you my tool, this extremely blunt flat screwdriver. It's quite a large screwdriver, which I use to shove into between the pads and just turn it so that it opens up the cavity between the pads for the rotor to go in easier. The front brake pads on this motorcycle still looks excellent. I wonder if it has been replaced before. The discs or rotors are in very good condition. I've done everything to this side except these two pinch bolts. I'll do them last and I'll show you why. No dragging, so that's good. Now let's move to the back. We're going to first do the brake pads and then the rear tire installation. Alright guys, so for this one we're going to need these brake pads. Just get my knife to open the package with. But what I first want to do is I want to just have a look at this caliper, because as I mentioned, this caliper to me seems a bit draggy. It might just be because it's dirty, might also be because this piston is a bit dry. Get my cloth here. This liquid moly brake parts cleaner is a very good product. You actually don't have to wipe. I just like to wipe and make sure everything is nice and perfectly clean. You really don't have to with this product. You can actually just spray it on and leave it. this sliding motion, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this caliper. I wanted to take this out and grease these two sliding pins, but in order for me to do that, I need to take these rubbers and remove them from the seals. But I can feel no issue with that at all, so I'm not going to tamper with those rubbers. I'm just going to leave them the way they are. Let me quickly clean here whilst I'm at it. Just spraying my cloth with this brake parts cleaner to clean the rear axle off nicely. And let's also clean these two spaces. It looks a million times better. And to clean this other side spacer as well, full of grease and grime and road dirt and crap. Chain lube and rubbish. I can live with that. That looks very good to me. I'm gonna also quickly just take the axle nut. It's gonna cost me nothing to just quickly clean it and make it presentable again. Also the axle locator. I'm going to clean these things nicely. And let's take the locator on the other side of the axle and clean this one as well. Remember guys, all these things are sliding up, forward and backwards as you adjust for the chain and so forth. So they need to be nice and clean. You don't want these things full of red soil and all of that crap. Okay, now I want to show you a little bit of a trick for these caliper sliding pins. Just going to show you something real quick. The way I do it. These things have a tendency to seize on you. What I do, I put it in the front of my drill, like a drill bit. Take a piece of green Scotch-Brite. Before I do this, look at that pin, okay? Just check the amount of time this takes me. Look at that pin now. It's perfectly clean. I'm going to turn it around. Just to do the other side. This tip. Hey, what do you think about that? Look at that. It's perfect. It's ready for installation. Took me 10 seconds to get that done. Okay, so now I need my plier because I need to open those, the piston. I need to push the piston back for the new pads to fit in. And I'm looking for something here which I can't find. Somebody's been in my garage. I'm going to put just a small little spray of penetrating oil on this piston. going all the way around the piston. Just sorry guys, and just like that my mic just died. So what I did there is I've added some penetrating oil just around that piston. Yeah, I'm wiping off the excess just to penetrate in there and just make the piston a bit more easily slidable, if I can put it that way. Now you'll see coming up here, I'm going to point to a steel little bracket or a sliding guide inside that caliper. Now that steel plate, and guys, here you can see me with a plier pushing that piston back. I mentioned in this section of the video that my soft bite pliers has grown feet and got missing. They just walked away. So that is not the right way to do it. Please don't follow what I did there. Use some soft bite pliers. But I'm going to point out those sliding pins there. Here you can see the brand new pads. It's proper SPS pads, same quality as original equipment. And I'm going to be adding some copper slip into those sliding tabs. You can see where the pad is sitting with its foot right there where I'm indicating now. So you'll see me, I'm gonna also add some copper slip on the pad right there, and then inside that metal tab we have going on there. Once again, my humble apologies for the audio. Yeah, I'm just smearing around that copper slip or copper grease just to ensure that those pads, as the piston comes out and presses on them, that they slide on that metal tab we have going on there. Guys, everything is going wrong today. First I'm talking to myself like an idiot without recording, and then my mic goes flat. I wanted to just quickly show you this. What we have going on here, we have this, and then we have these rubbers that goes over this little fingers here. This is to soften the blow when you leave the clutch to engage your gear. And this stuff that I have here, I'm sure everybody knows what this is. I'm going to take that amount, not a lot. Just smear just the edges of this, of these rubbers. Just the edges, just a tad. I'll use maybe 2 milliliters of this stuff for all of these things together combined. The reason I do this is just to make the installation of the sprocket a bit easier. This is too much I've put on here. So I'll take some of this and smear it on the others where I put too little. Just to make the installation, because this can actually be quite a hard job to get this sprocket to sit in its location if those rubbers are dry. Right, it's in and it's ready. Okay, caliper must come out. So, on this side of the wheel we have the spacer that goes in there. On the other side of the wheel we have the big spacer that goes in. Right, uses a 27 millimeter socket, and this pad is going to keep on giving me grief. So let me just shove this thing in here. It wants to come out. It doesn't want to be here. Well, you don't have a choice, son. This is your new home, and this is where you're going to live until you die. It doesn't want to. Why is it always, if you're making a video, that you need to struggle with things like this? All right, hopefully it's in its place now. This one sure isn't. There you go. That's it. That's correct. Okay. Now, this is a bit tricky, because you need to get all of these things aligned at the same time. So you see, I'm trying to align the wheel with its spacers on between the caliper and this side of the swing arm to get the axle through. And I still need to make sure that my brake rotor is going in between these two pads. But one thing I did not do, I did not grease my axle, and I already put my grease away. So let me stand up once again and get my axle or my grease. Okay, I was just getting my copper slip. Just want to take this axle, not a lot. And I'm doing this not for me, but for the next guy that needs to work on this motorcycle. Because these axles, doesn't matter which motorcycle you have, which brand. They like to seize up inside the wheel, and then it's a hell of a struggle to get that axle out. So I'm just smearing a thin layer of copper slip over the entire axle, putting it down here, not on the ground, on the little packet of the brake pads. Okay, now I need to try and align all of these things at the same time. So please excuse if you hear a lot of swearing. Just kidding, guys. But you get the picture. Come on, play nice. Come on, what's going on? No. It's through. This side, you must just make sure that your spacer is still in place, and this thing needs to go into the correct orientation. That's through. Let's put the chain back on. Right, the chain's on. So on this side, I'm adding this silver axle locator. He doesn't want to play nice with me. The motorcycle is moving on the stand, which is not exactly what I want. Here we go, it's in. Then we have the washer. I want to clean it off before I reinstall it. Then the 27mm nut and the socket. Let's take the impact. We'll talk that to spec just now. Then we have this small little pin that goes in at the back of this pin. But it's like a little L shape. So this piece goes over the caliper. There you go. So this installation is complete. We are done. Now the only thing that remains is to clean the wheels. You can see they're a bit dirty. We'll put a greaser on here, wipe them off. Make sure everything is nicely torqued to spec. And then that will be the end of that. So the rear wheel has been fitted together with the new brake pads. The front wheel has been fitted, but these two pinch bolts are still loose. I'm going to show you the reason why now. Okay, so I've taken the bike, I've made sure that the stand is on. I'll take it off of the ramp. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rock the bike with those pinch bolts loose. What this does is it moves the axle to its natural position. Now we can tighten these two pinch bolts. Sorry, they need to come way down. 18 Newton meter. First the one, then the other one, then you go back to the first one because it's going to be looser now. Then the second one, then the first one, then the second one, first one, second one. Check it 4 times, it's done. So with that then, this job on the Tenere is finished. Everything's nice and clean. I'm just going to quickly put some degreaser on the rims and just wipe the rims off. Then it will be ready to return to its owner. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If this is the type of content that you like to see, please consider subscribing to the channel, and please do me a favor and like my video. It really helps out the channel quite a bit. And thanks for watching. Until next time, right here on the Certified Jordan.